Now let's dive into the purchase transaction. Step one is getting pre-approved. The real estate purchase transaction really starts when you get pre-approved by a mortgage lender. I know that buyers love to start by looking at homes first, but this is actually not the ideal first step, and here's why. I've had several clients miss out on their dream home because they started looking at homes without being pre-approved first. Then, when they suddenly saw a house they loved, they tried to scramble and get pre-approved quickly so they could submit an offer, only to have that home get purchased by someone else who was ready. Rushing to get pre-approved is not a wise decision. Remember the 75% of home buyers who have buyer's remorse now? Yeah, rushing through the process will definitely contribute to that. When you get pre-approved for a home before you start looking for one, you can evaluate your loan options without the pressure of needing to submit an offer in the next 24 hours. Believe it or not, taking the time to get pre-approved by a mortgage lender first helps you make decisions quickly later on in the process because you've given yourself enough time to understand the numbers involved in the transaction. In order to purchase a home, you'll need to know the maximum purchase price you can afford, the monthly mortgage payment, the interest rate, your down payment, closing costs, and which loan program will work best for you. This is information that you'll want to take the time to understand. Your lender will provide all of this information to you when you get pre-approved. Step two is starting the home search. This is when the fun starts. Now that you know your budget, you and your agent will sit down and decide your search criteria. This is when you'll tell the agent how many bedrooms and bathrooms you want, what neighborhoods you like, and whether or not you need a basement or a garage. A good agent will take note of your desires and help you start looking for the perfect home. My suggestion is that you separate your desires into 3 lists: must-haves, nice-to-haves, and dream-to-haves. The goal is to get you everything on all 3 lists, but categorizing your desires this way will help you keep your priorities straight once the process gets started. This will help you make sure that you don't end up like the 80% of home buyers who say they compromise on their priorities. Compromising on your primary desires happens because buying a home is an emotional process that can cause you to forget what's really important to you. Write down your list and refer to it often so this doesn't happen to you. Once you and your agent compile a list of homes that meet your criteria, your agent will schedule a time for you to tour them in person. These viewings are your opportunity to get a feel for the home and decide whether or not you could live there. You'll look at the space, the bedrooms and bathrooms, the layout, and the neighborhood to decide if you can work with all of it. I always recommend that buyers look at the things that cannot be easily changed. Things like paint colors, floors, furniture, and even appliances can be easily changed after moving in. Things that cannot be easily changed are the overall square footage of the home, the layout, and in some cases, the number of bedrooms and bathrooms. Once you find a home you like, you'll move on to step 3, the offer. In order to submit an offer, you'll need 3 things. First, your pre-approval letter, which you should have gotten from your lender in step 1. Second, you'll need your offer documents, which you'll get from the agent. And third will be your earnest money deposit, or EMD. See, one of the elements needed for a contract to be legally enforceable is known as adequate consideration. This is the purpose of the EMD. The EMD is money that is sent with the offer and held in an escrow account until you close. The amount of the EMD is 100% negotiable between you and the seller. However, it is usually at least 1% of the purchase price or $1,000, whichever is greater. A good agent will help you determine the best way to submit a strong offer while ensuring that you still remain protected. A big reason that 75% of recent home buyers have buyer's remorse is because they thought that submitting strong offers meant waiving many of the contingencies that were meant to keep them safe. Good agents know how to strengthen offers without putting you at risk. When the seller accepts your offer and returns the signed documents to you, you'll officially be under contract. That takes us to step 4. Now, I need to pause here and say that this part of the process can look a lot different depending on where you are in the country. The state you live in will determine whether your transaction will be closed by a title company or by a real estate attorney. Here in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, where I'm licensed, closings can actually be handled by either. but most people tend to use title companies instead of attorneys, so that is the process I will describe. Check with your local real estate professional to confirm how closings are handled in your state. Now back to the training. When you go under contract, there are 3 very important things that should happen right away. First, you'll send your earnest money deposit to the title company so they can deposit it in their escrow account. The earnest money deposit is your money and it will be credited to you at closing. If you breach the contract, then the EMD will go to the seller. Second, you'll get in touch with your lender to submit a loan application. Your pre-approval is exactly what it sounds like. It's a pre-approval because you have not been approved for the loan yet. When the lender gives you the pre-approval letter, the bank is essentially saying, if you were to apply for a mortgage, this is how much we would give you. So when you go under contract, it's time to go back to the lender to submit your loan application so you can actually get the money. The third thing that should happen immediately after going under contract is scheduling your home inspection. The time frame for all of these activities is negotiable, but they typically happen during the first week after you go under contract. This brings us to step 5, negotiating the home inspection. For the home inspection, you'll hire a third-party inspector to go through the house and inspect it from top to bottom. The inspector will try to find everything that's wrong with the house by checking the electrical, plumbing, structural, and HVAC systems. He'll inspect the grounds, the exterior, and the roof. He'll test all of the appliances, try all of the windows, and he'll even climb inside the attic and the crawl spaces. After the inspection, the inspector will generate a report documenting everything that he found. Then you and your agent will use that report to negotiate repairs with the sellers. Step 6 is the appraisal. The appraiser is the person your lender will send to the property to determine what the house is actually worth. If the appraised value is below the agreed upon contract price, then you may have the opportunity to renegotiate the contract price with the seller depending on how your offer is written. Conversely, if the appraised value comes in above the offer price, then congratulations, because that means the property is worth more than what you are paying for it. In other words, you're getting a great deal. In step 7, you'll finalize your financing. Keep in mind that while all of this is happening, the lender, and more specifically the underwriter, will be doing a deep dive into your file to confirm whether or not the bank will be able to give you the loan that you applied for. Once they finish this process, they will give you something called a conditional approval. This is the lender essentially saying, we'll give you the loan as long as you satisfy these last few conditions. Some of those conditions may include getting the right insurance policies for the property and providing a final verification of employment, or VOE, right before closing. Once these conditions have been satisfied, the lender will declare your loan cleared to close, and you'll be able to move forward with the final steps. Step 8 is the final walkthrough. Once the clear to close has been issued and the settlement date has been set, you'll move forward with your final walkthrough and the closing. The purpose of the final walkthrough is to make sure that the house is in the condition that you expect. This is your last opportunity to raise any concerns before the property becomes yours. This is when you'll verify that the sellers have completed all negotiated repairs and left the property in acceptable condition after moving all of their stuff out. If the condition of the property is satisfactory, then you'll move forward with the closing. If it's not satisfactory, then you'll delay closing until the unresolved issues are fixed. Step 9 is the closing. At the closing, you'll be expected to bring the remaining balance of any money that is needed to complete the transaction. You'll also sign all of the documents that transfer ownership of the property into your name. When you finish signing, you'll officially be a homeowner. Congratulations. So that was the entire purchase process from start to finish. That wasn't so bad, was it? One of the greatest things about buying a home is that the process is a series of checks and balances. See, when you buy a pair of shoes, it's one yes and then boom, you have a pair of shoes. When you buy a car, it's probably like 3 yeses and then you have a car. This is why people can buy shoes and cars on impulse, but no one buys a house on impulse, especially not their first one. When you buy a house, it requires a series of yeses. You have to say yes to the numbers when you get pre-approved. Then you have to say yes to the neighborhood. Then you have to say yes again to the house itself. You also have to say yes to the home inspection, the appraisal, and the final walkthrough. If you are uncomfortable with the process at any stage, then the whole transaction stops until that no turns into a yes. If we're not able to turn that no into a yes, then you'll cancel the transaction and move on to another house. That is the beauty of buying real estate. By the time you get to the end of the transaction, you can rest assured that you are making a good decision because you had to say yes so many times along the way. I remind my clients of this whenever they get nervous about moving on to the next part of the transaction. Submitting an offer doesn't mean you're buying a house yet. It just means that you like the house enough to learn a little bit more about it. There's still a whole series of checkpoints that have to be crossed in order for you to move in. That makes sense, right?